Hello everyone and welcome to the big matchup of round 7. So this is the final game of the first half of the FIDE candidates tournament. It's Alireza Firouzja with the white pieces against Gukesh with black. Alireza can't seem to get anything going for him this candidates tournament. In the first 6 rounds he did not get a single win and he managed to lose 3 games, which is quite a lot for anyone, regardless of who you are. And Gukesh, well, he is alongside Yani Pomnishi, one of the leaders of the FIDE candidates tournament. So a win or a draw goes a long way for him in his, quest on securing that spot as the challenger of the World Chess Championship. So let's check it out. Alireza has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to d4. We have knight to f6 and bishop to f4. Alireza hints at that he is ready to go for the London system. We have d5, pawn to e3, and now pawn to c5. There are other moves you can play here, of course, e6, like bishop to f5, pawn to g6, but c5 so far the most played move in this position. And we even have a nice photo of this moment, so let's enjoy that for a second. There you have it. The London system is on the board. Alireza representing France, Gukesh representing India. As usual, if you spot anything out of the ordinary in the photos, do mention in the comment section below. Now, okay, pawn to c5, we have knight to f3 and pawn to e6. Knight to c6 a bit more popular, pawn to e6 still very much playable. Knight b to d2, and now bishop to queen to b6. Here, there is a famous game Magnus Carlsen played against Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru tried bishop to d6 here in the World Blitz Championship of 2019, and Magnus defeated him. But okay, that's not so much that the move is bad, it's just that Magnus was playing with white. So here, queen to b6, also a move that Alireza himself used to defeat Ding Liren. Ding defeated Alireza with this move. I misspoke there. We have rook to b1, and c captures on d4. E captures and bishop to d7, preparing bishop to b5 to go after the light square bishop on f1, thus stopping white from castling or just capturing and ruining white's castling privileges. So here, pawn to c3. There is a known game where Daniil Dubov defeated young Krzysztof Duda, or no, sorry, it was a draw, yeah, where bishop to e2 was played, but here pawn to c3 and now bishop to b5. We have pawn to h4, and now knight b to d7. Again, knight to c6 is a known move. It was played by Vincent Keimer, I believe. I will check, I don't want to trick you guys. Just give me a second. Yeah, Vincent Keimer played it in last year's FIDE World Cup against Amin Tabatabai, and Vincent was able to win that game. But here we have knight b to d7, and it is now as of move 9 that we have a completely new game. And with this completely new game comes our first, real thing of the game. So far, both of the players just blitzed out moves. Alireza spent less than 5 minutes getting this position. He plays rook to h3, and he spent some 30 minutes on this move. So, of course, he wants to play rook g3 at some point to advance the pawn, as he is banking on a Gukesh castling king side. So, bishop to e7, and now pawn to h5. Another 12 minutes investment from Alireza, and already he is down to 1 hour and 13 minutes. h6, stopping further advancement of the pawn, and now pawn to a4. Alireza advancing on both sides of the board. Bishop captures on f1, we have king captures on f1, and now castles king side. King to g1, you of course want to start attacking, but you don't want to run into some silly check like queen a6, and then you lose a pawn if the queen on d1 moves. Queen to c6, stopping any expansion on the queen side, because now, b4 cannot be played. You will lose the c3 pawn, and also if the queen moves, the a4 pawn will be hanging. So there are many ways you could play this. You could simply defend the pawn with rook to a1, but knight to e5 by Alireza goes after the queen, and Gukesh captures. And again, not an instant recapture by Alireza, but he does spend some 7 minutes on this move and decides to capture with the pawn. And if you go for the win, this is definitely the way to go. You attack the knight, you force the knight to move back, and then you try to go after the black king with some ideas like rook g3, you move the knight, then you bring the queen to the dark squares, maybe you sacrifice the bishop on h6. and so on. So knight to d7 and rook to g3. And here we have king to h8. The situation on the clock now is only 30 minutes for Alireza and over an hour for Gukesh, some hour and 5 minutes. And now you can decide to go about this in many different ways. You can play rook to a1 to defend the pawn, and then you can advance your queen. You can also play b3 as the rook on g3 now defends the c3 pawn. But no, we have pawn to a5 first, and okay, Gukesh just goes after the pawn. Queen to c7, attacks the a5 pawn, and now knight to f3. Alireza sacrifices the pawn to go quickly after that black king. But Gukesh calculates properly. Queen captures on a5. And now the point is, should you try something like queen to d2 after king to h7? White really doesn't have a good way of continuing this game. You sacrifice the pawn for really nothing. The best you have is a perpetual with something like queen d3 check, king h8, and bishop captures on h6, and after g captures and queen e3 going after the pawn, king h7, and there's just no way to reach the black king. Queen d3 check, king to h8, queen to d2 or e3, and we will have a repetition. So after this queen captures an a5 move, pawn to c4 by Alireza. By far the classiest move to keep the game going. He's putting pressure on this at d5 pawn, and he's preparing pawn to b4. So how can Gukesh meet this? Well, he plays rook to g8. Now you don't have to worry about any sacrifices on the king side. And the situation on the clock is 25 minutes for both now. So Gukesh also invested quite a lot of time in creating this defensive setup. Rook to a1. Again, b4 can be played. Alireza wants to save it for as long as possible. Rook to a1 attacks the queen. Queen to b4, and now pawn to b3. But now knight to c5. And objectively, this is now a better position for Gukesh, definitely. The pawn is attacked, and there really isn't all that much you can do on the king's side. We have knight to d4, defending the b3 pawn. Now knight to e4, kicking away the rook from the g file. And with the rook away from the g file, there's really not all that much you can do on the king's side. Rook to e3, and now queen to c5. We have rook to c1 and rook g to d8. Now the rook is no longer needed, defending the king. And the problem is now, should Alireza capture on d4, on d5, then the queen comes to d5, and Gukesh's position is just, well, objectively winning at this point. But Alireza finds a way to murky the, or to muddy the waters, pawn to b4. He was saving it for this long, but now it comes just in the right moment. And the idea is that if the queen moves, then you will capture on d5 without the queen having access to that square. But Gukesh finds the best an engine-like reply. Queen captures on b4, c captures on d5, and now knight captures on f2, going after the white king. The idea is rook captures, and then you will go after the knight on d4 to win back your piece, or you will have enough to maybe even do some damage to the white king. But now comes king captures on f2, rook captures on d5, and now rook to e4. Now Alireza has to make a series of only moves in order just not to lose the game on the spot. And he's down to 2 minutes and 56 seconds on the clock, and he still needs to make 12 more moves in order to reach time control. He plays rook e4. Okay, you have to defend the knight. That's the only way to do it. Rook 8 to d8. Here, you could actually just start advancing the pawn. This would be better for Gukesh, but he goes rook 8 to d8. He wants to win his material back. Bishop to e3 defending, and now bishop to c5. Attacking the knight 4 times, but Alireza, with seconds on the clock, he just plays these moves instantly, plays queen to b3. And yes, Alireza can now lose his queen, or rather Gukesh can win Alireza's queen, but if you do it, rook captures on d4, rook captures on d4, and queen captures on b3, then comes rook captures on d8, king h7, and rook captures on c5. And Alireza would have 2 rooks and the bishop for the queen. And a minute and 53 seconds on the clock, so you know it would be enough for him to make those 9 moves. But here, after queen b3, queen captures on b3 was played. Gukesh spent some 4 minutes on this. He couldn't find anything else, and it is the proper way to play. Knight captures on b3, and now bishop captures on e3 check. Rook captures, and now Alireza is up a knight, but Gukesh as you can see, is up 3 pawns. So he starts advancing them. Pawn to a5. We have rook to c7, getting the rook to the 7th rank, going after the f7 pawn, going after the b7 pawn, and pawn to a4. Challenging the knight, we have knight to c5, and now rook to a8, preparing to advance the pawn, as you have to cross that a3 square. Knight to d7 by Alireza, this is move 36, and here Gukesh played king to h7, which we are going to discuss at length. But what you shouldn't do, and why this knight to d7 move is so impressive, is pawn to a3. If you play this, then just rook captures on a3, and after rook captures on a3, look at this. Rook c8 check, king h7, knight to f8 with check the pawn and knight cover g6, of course, king g8, knight g6 check, king h7, and rook to h8 will be checkmate. So that's the problem with just advancing the pawn. Now, what you could do here is just play pawn to b5, and the position is still very much playable. Or you go for something like rook to d2, because with knight to d7, there also seems to be a fork hanging in the air. But after, let's say, rook to d2 check, and king to e1 attacking the rook, now you go rook to d4. Of course, not rook captures on g2. If you play rook captures on g2, then rook e to c3, and it's again winning for white. But yeah, after this rook to d4 move, it's definitely playable. Now, if knight comes to b6, you don't care. You're just going to move the rook to a6, and the knight is too far away. But this knight never really wants to move. The knight wants to deliver that knight to f8 check, if at all possible. But yeah, this is all too much to calculate with less than a minute on the clock, and 4 more moves need to be made in order for time control to be reached. So king h7, Gukesh realizes that there could be some issues in the back rank, but he plays a move that loses him the game. So feel free to pause the video and try to win this game for Alireza while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this wild idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to f3. That is the only way to win, as you want to go after that black king. And you also could go for the fork, but it's not winning due to the fork. But after the reason why it's winning is that after rook to d2 check, you don't go king to e1, but king to g3 to win. And now, okay, your rook is hanging. Once you attack the knight, then knight comes back to d7, and again, after, let's say, rook to a8, because otherwise you're just going to get checkmated, now comes rook to f3, and we basically get the same position, only without making weird moves first. So rook to f3 is the way to go, and now pawn to a3. Again, if you go king to g8, then the idea is knight to b6, you attack both of the rooks, and once the rook gives a check, you will go again king to g3, and once this rook moves, now you will play rook to e7. Or you could play some other moves like rook to a3, but rook to a7 is the nicest one, as it threatens knight to d7 to go after the rook, and then you just pile up on the f7 pawn. So after this rook to f3 move, we have pawn to a3, but now just rook captures on f7 by Alireza. King to h8, played with 2 seconds on the clock here. Alireza has 12 seconds on the clock, and Gukesh has 8 seconds on the clock. They're really playing this like a bullet game. I mean, it's a world chess, not a world chess champion, but it's a tournament where you qualify for the world chess championship. It's the candidates tournament, and players are playing critical positions with less than 10 seconds on the clock. This is, I mean, this is crazy to me that they actually voted for this format. I'm all up for it. I much more prefer to watch games in this format, but to actually play games at that format, I don't know who voted for this, because they give it to the players to vote for the time format. I mean, other than Yanni Pomnishi, I don't see who voted for this format. And okay, we have king to h8. Like I said, played with 2 seconds on the clock, and now knight to f8, and now you realize that there is nothing more to be done. Pawn to a2, preparing to bring a queen into the game, and now comes knight to g6 with check, and he was in this position on move 40 that Gukesh resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Even though he can make that one move to reach time control with 2 seconds, the problem is, of course, wherever he goes, g8 or h7, it will just be rook captures on g7 checkmate. So, crushing, heartbreaking for Gukesh, as he was undefeated so far in the tournament. He was co-leading the event with Yanni Pomnishi, and now he loses to Alireza, who had a terrible tournament so far, but with a victory in round 7, anything can still happen. I mean, it's the Alireza gets one win, he can also get like four in a row. And we also have a nice video of this moment, so let's just appreciate the intensity of the moment. There, here you go.
Pawn it looked like, but here comes rook takes f7, and the bar is all the way up. That means there is a checkmate in construction. Gukesh brings his king back, slaps the clock, and Alireza, he needs to make a move. He is down to 5 seconds. He plays knight f8, and he's found the checkmate. There it is. Gukesh, he puts his hand in the air. He cannot believe it. Alireza Firouzja has landed a checkmate. Game over. Handshakes. Alireza himself can't believe it, but pure devastation on the face for Gukesh, and you have to feel for him. He's a teenager. This is his first candidacy. He had a shot at the clear lead halfway through. My heart truly breaks for him. Peter, you work with Vincent Keimer, a teenager. It just pains you to see the heartbreak on the other end of someone's jubilation.
Sorry, I just realized my mic was muted while I was replaying that video. What I said was sorry about that. What I said was that yeah, these are the standings, and as you can see, Jan is still leading the tournament, so we might be looking at another World Chess Championship match where Jan Nepomniachtchi will be participating. Fabi Prague and Gukesh tied in second. Hikaru Vidit with 3.5, Alireza with 2.5, and Nijat Abbasov with 2. So okay, Alireza did start something. He did get it going. Will it be enough? It is definitely very hard to say. But yeah, truly heartbreaking for Gukesh, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he bounces back from this one. But I mean, he's still only half a point away from the leader, Jan Nepomniachtchi. So hope that he will be able to continue pushing really hard. But yeah, well, I also would like to thank William Smith, Thomas Zigetti, Thomas Dernoga, MPU Consulting, and Shai Gross for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.